Hey guys, welcome to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a negative template for the hybrid Pantorouter. And what that'll end up doing is making this cut right here, which will eventually hold my 4-inch hinges. This was pretty good. So I've run 2 tests to figure it out and see if I'm doing it right. And this was my first one I made, and I didn't have my math figured correctly, and I also didn't install a bottom piece here, which I need to stop the router bit. So I made this second one. This one worked out very well. I have my stop here. I cut this out because it was hitting on my router, and one problem that I had was that my radiuses were pretty poorly done. So I'm going to redo this template basically, and I'm going to show you and tell you about the mathematical formula that goes into figuring out a template like this. So first thing I'm going to do is start out with a nice clean piece of wood. I've squared up 3 edges so I can pull numbers off of those. I'm going to find the center of it, which is 11.5, so 5 1/4. No, 5 3/4. And I will square that up. Now since the Pantorouter is a 2-to-1, I need to double all these numbers that are on this hinge. Where's Pepe's tape measure? I need to stop using this. I'll be sad when it breaks. So I'm going to measure the width of my hinge, which is 4 inches. So I'll double that for my total width of my template. So if I hold 4 inches, mark 0 and 8. Now since I need to router out for the hinge portion, I need to get this dimension right here, which should be 2 1/4. I'll double that number, so it'll be 4 1/2 inches. Since on this first one I had a problem here. I want the bottom of this to be a 1/2 inch right here. So I'm just going to measure up a 1/2 inch. I'm going to mark 4 1/4 because I need to minus another 1/4 inch off here, but this should be 4 1/2 inches, double whatever this width is. So I marked both ends of it. I'm also going to use a framing square and just double check it to make sure it's on the money. To figure out the formula for this template, you need to minus the 1/2 inch router bit and then add the follower. My router bit's a 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to do this for now. I'm going to refigure it. I'll be coming in a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides, and then I need to come back and add the follower, but I only want to add half the follower distance. So 3/8 would be 3/16. So it would be right about there, and that should give me 7 3/8 on the inside, which it does, which will bring me 5/16 from the edge that I just had. Now I'm using that 3/8 inch follower. If you used a different follower, then you would have to figure it differently. And I think the formula would still be the same. You want half the distance of the follower when you do this. I could be wrong though. So I'm going to come in on these 3 lines 5/16 of an inch. I'll square these up. So the same thing goes for when you're figuring out my radius here. So I have a 5/8 inch radius. I'm going to times that by 2 for 1 1/4 inches. And then I just need to minus this distance, which is the 5/16. So minus 5/16. And that gives you 15/16, doesn't it? I think so. So I'm going to set my compass to equal 15/16, and I'll drag it back this way, put it on this one, and I'll drag it back that way, and that I just got a crosshair right here. I'll put this point right in the crosshair and trace my radius. So now I can remove this inside portion here. Now one problem I noticed yesterday when I was cutting this one is that I had a large jigsaw blade on there. A scroll saw would be absolutely perfect, or even a coping saw, but I like me power tools, so I bought some thinner blades. I'm good at spending it, not good at making it. I'm going to use a larger aggressive blade to rough this out. I'll do all these straight lines. This larger blade will help me keep a straighter line. Now that I got a bulk of the material removed, I'm going to switch over to my thinner blade. It'll be easier to cut that radius. Now since this is a 2-to-1 ratio, if I'm off a 1/16 here, it's going to be a 32nd of an inch off on my actual piece that I'm routering out. So I like that. That's great. So now I'm just going to come back here and just sand any of these places, because a jigsaw, if you push it one way or the other, the blade will twist like this and it'll cause imperfections, and I got a big one right there. So since this side has all my lines on it, I'm going to sand up to my lines. So when I put this onto my template holder, It doesn't matter which way I put it. I just want to make sure that my guide bearing is as close to this edge as possible, because this side is more accurate than this side because the blade was twisting and stuff. So as long as that guide bearing falls as close to this edge, I'll be good. So I have this center mark right here that I drew on earlier. This right here needs to line up with my center on my Pantorouter. I'm going to put it on backwards because my line is right there and I can see it. Alright, so I got my template mounted on there. It's in the center. I had to put some screws through my template holder into the template, but it's centered and it is level or flat compared to the table. Now I'm going to have to do some other calculating to figure out where this piece goes up and down, but for now I just want to make sure that my template is good. One thing I said in my video about the tilting model is that I don't think I would ever use it, but I am definitely going to need to use it on this step. So I'm going to tilt this up and lock these in. So I'm going to butt the router bit into the piece of wood, and I'm going to set my depth gauge to just under 1/8 inch. Check my follower, make sure that's tight. Check everything that could have been loosened. Make sure everything's locked in. I have no obstructions. I'm ready to go. Now I know that on the bottom of this I need to go another like 3/16 inch deep, so I'm going to set my follower in a little bit here. I'm going to do this a different way, but just for now, so I know it's going to work. I'm going to router out that bottom section too. We'll take that piece out, see how we did. We didn't do out of this world good, but I'm going to chisel out for the pin. So I can see I got some minor imperfections. This top edge right here needs to be straightened out right here, and then I need to go a 1/16 wider on this side. So I'm going to take the template off and make these corrections. Now whatever this is here, I need to double that. So say I came over a 1/16 here, I actually need to go over 1/8 inch on my template. Use my utility knife to mark this because it's so fine. But yeah, that's definitely where that dip came in, was right there. So after a little bit of trial and error, I was able to make this fit pretty damn good. I definitely have to do some chiseling once I'm finished with it, but that will be perfect. Now I do need to figure out the height of my template, which is going to be fairly simple, but this hinge needs to be, I think, like 1/8 inch from the end here, or I think it might actually hang over the end. I don't know. We'll see. That's absolutely perfect. I mean, there is some slight imperfections in it, but overall that is pretty good. It's running square to this piece of wood, so that's good. Any little gap that's in there is so small that you'll never see it. Plus, this is a window, so this will be the top of the window, and the hinge will be swinging this way. So you'll only see this when the window's open. You'll never see it. Yeah, I'm happy. So I need to do that 36 times. Holy crap. But I don't think I'm going to bore you with that, so I guess thanks for watching. If you liked the video and felt it was helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to show me some support, please go check out my Patreon page. The link's going to be in the description. All that money is going towards a second tiny house build, which I'll start shortly. And by becoming a Patreon member, you're also getting all my content as soon as I upload it. So my Patreon supporters right now are 3 months, probably more. Yeah, probably about 3 or 4 months ahead of where you're at actually right now. So check me out on Patreon. Even a small contribution to that will be helpful to starting that project. But again, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. I think I did pretty PG. That was the most PG video I ever filmed in my life. I don't think I swore one time. Yeah, that's fucking amazing.